Hi, I'm here in Houston, Texas, and the ELI annual conference meeting put on by EduCalls just ended. I'm hanging out in Discovery Green Park waiting until it's time for a flight. Flight's been delayed. So it's a beautiful afternoon. We're here hanging out. But I wanted to do a little reflection on the conference for my IDP. Probably the most valuable thing I took away from the conference, the author of How to Say Anything to Anyone, she put on a session. Obviously you can't say anything to anyone anytime, but it was about establishing the relationships, the agreements and the grounds so that you're able to say what you need to when you need to. She gave an example of firing someone. It's not always easy to, it's never easy to fire somebody. But if you've established a caring relationship or a relationship where the employee knows you have their best interests, it's much easier to do. And then she gave examples too of communicating with the people that you're working with. So basically the whole idea is developing better work relationships. And one example is, do you work better at night or do you work better in the morning? What's your preferred time to work? And then be accommodating with that. Think about that as you work with them. Ask the question, if I have bad news to deliver, do you want me to tell you personally? Would you like me to email you? Do you want me to tell a third party and they'll come tell you? But it's just really establishing communication in general. Would you rather me communicate with you in person? Would you rather have communication through email? So just asking those questions. She's got decks and decks of cards, but I'd like to read how to say anything to anyone. And these are 5 things that she put together on a little bookmark. Number 1, don't assume people know what you expect. Tell them. I've learned that just being in a relationship with my husband, he's the same thing. He told me at one point, if I'm not doing what you want me to do, just tell me because I don't know, I'm not getting it. Same thing with other people. When you tell them, hey, I'd like to have this training plan put together, they may not know what you mean as far as a training plan and what exactly do you want. Number 2, you won't get what you don't ask for and make requests. So it's the same thing. If you sit around and wait for someone to do something or bring ideas, many times it's not going to happen. So you just have to make the request. Work with people how they like to work, which are already explained. Give feedback when you're not upset. Giving feedback when you're upset, we all know, typically turns out bad, so not the ideal thing to do. And then number 5, the right answer to any feedback you receive is always thank you for the feedback. What I liked about this that Sherry explained is that when you say thank you for your feedback, it buys you time. It buys you time for a couple of things. It buys you time to first cool down, cool off, if it's a situation where it was information you didn't really, or feedback you really did not want to hear. And then the other reason is it gives you time to respond. So it gives you time to think and to respond properly instead of responding when you're upset. So I found that session really, really valuable. Another thing, I realize this every time, but it just doesn't seem to sink in or make a difference. But research in general. So you go to sessions, you find out research that other folks are doing, and they're doing some really neat stuff. But what I've realized is we're doing the work. We're just not doing the research behind the work. So there's plenty of things that we could publish and share, present at conferences. I just need to figure out a process. Really, for me, it's a workflow. There's so many things coming from so many different angles that there's never time to sit down and write a research paper or to write up data or a poster session on what we're doing. So I need to get a workflow figured out, just get a process, start simple. It's kind of like we always tell faculty, take one little thing, implement it. Once you're comfortable with that, take another. So I need to figure out how to do that. And then there's a lot of emerging technology, not really emerging. It's technology that's been around for a while. So it was virtual reality, there was a lot of that. leadership transformation, that was another topic. Faculty development. So on faculty development, the session I really liked with that is there was a group talking about how to use design thinking to make professional development, faculty development workshops more useful to faculty. So they called it transforming the workshop. I really, really liked it. I'm going to try the one idea because it's a very brief 1 hour workshop. Not really even a workshop. It's a design brief, I think is what they called it, a design brief. And the idea is for an hour you come in, you work as a group to solve a problem, you walk away with something you can use in class. So take for instance, maybe grading. How do I grade group work? You want to do group work, but you're not sure how to assess it, how to grade it. So what you do is you bring in faculty, and for an hour, that's what you do. And there's a couple of design processes they use that I like. But the faculty then walk away with a solution to a problem that they can try. And it's something they can do immediately. Overall, the conference was a good conference. I felt the keynotes were very informative, a lot of information, very boring as presenters. It's high level thinking. For instance, the Watson technology through IBM, where they're designing virtual tutors. And it's interesting where that research is. It's good to hear it, but the way they present the information, you can tell, just, straight up scientists, here's the info. So it's neat what's going on, but it's really high level and it's not really to the point we can do anything with yet. He did explain that most of that technology, in order to get it right, is 5 to 10 years out, because he said based on what they're doing, they don't want to get it wrong. They want to make sure it's right, because they're being a tutor and in a way a friend to students and children. So they want to make sure they get that right. Let's see. The other thing I really like about this crowd, I've already typed it in, but it's a small crowd. There was just 500 participants this time. And it's just a nice intimate group. So you get to see people multiple times and you have conversations, and you can continue a conversation that you started in a session. So that's really nice. People are nice. They're more than willing to share. So you get a lot of great resources and ideas. Trying to think if there's anything else. Just a lot of information in 3 days. I'll wrap up with this. So I came to this conference once again because I helped out with the conference game, and we used the application Goose Chase. I really like the application. This is the third time I've used it. It's great for getting people to meet and know each other, but I feel like we stepped it up a level this year with having questions that made them think more professionally about what they're doing, what they're working on. So it's a way to share what's the research that people have done. Gave them a chance to brag about their research and then what they're interested in researching this year. We use all that information as feedback for the ELI conference. They're really wanting to transform the conference. They try very, very hard on making everything interactive, but once you accept presenters and bring them in, there's no guarantee that they're actually going to be interactive. And you see that every conference, but I know EDUCALS from their perspective try really, really hard for that. So next year they're looking at transforming it a little bit. I would say we won't do Goose Chase next year, but I'm interested in maybe exploring another game possibility with EDUCALS to see if they would be up for it. I don't know. Well, I don't know what's out there. I'll have to explore. I'm going to the Game Developers Conference here in about a week. So maybe I can bring back some ideas. Now, the one thing I do know with Goose Chase, I really want to start using it with students and possibly faculty, because it's just a great way to get people to meet each other, have fun, find the resources on campus. It's a digital scavenger hunt in a way. To me, it's more mission-based, so you don't actually go and grab stuff, but you go and you discover and identify areas that you may need to know about. With that, you snap evidence. So you snap evidence that you were there, so you'll have the images and the information, but you don't have a physical object that you're collecting and bringing back. So, and the game gives points, so you have a winner, so it's always nice if you can put some type of a award at the end for the top 5. Educalls, they do, the top person actually gets free registration for next year for the conference, so that's really nice. And then they do Amazon gift cards. So I'm excited to really explore the Goose Chase. I've talked to 1 or 2 people before at South Mountain, and they don't get it, so they're always like, no, we can't do that, we're not going to do games. But they don't get it. So I think I need a prototype, put something together, prototype it, try it out with 1 or 2 people, and then I think it'll be a hit. Everyone that's ever played it like it. Even the people that don't game, they like to be kind of a passive learner. So they're not actively playing the game where they're submitting missions and gaining points, but they're watching the feed of the game. So they're still actively engaged into the game by watching the content, and even they might be the photographer behind, you know, when they have to snap some evidence, or they may give other players ideas even though they're not playing. So it's a neat concept. So I'll wrap up. Good conference. Houston's a beautiful area. We did have a tornado warning for one morning. They just told us stay inside the building, stay in the conference room. Didn't get hit here. I did hear a tornado touchdown outside, well, around Houston somewhere, but it wasn't where we were at for the location. So a little excitement there. But yeah, great conference. I'd highly recommend it. Anyone that's interested in instructional technology and technology in the classroom. It wasn't only instructional technologists, but a lot of instructional designers, some administrators, directors, program coordinators. So anyone interested in that field. There was stuff on analytics. Oh, adaptive learning too. There's a good many schools that are working in that area, kind of demonstrating what they're doing and what's working. So yeah, great conference. So the conference next year is in New Orleans. So anyone wanting to head south, and check out Bourbon Street. That's where the conference is next year. All right, signing off. We'll see you in Phoenix.